Hare
Hare
Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 199. Yes, 199, which means that we are just one episode away from our historic 200th episode. I either say this every time, but I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. This is episode 199. Before I introduce the guest, just to remind you, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook, and if you haven't already, please do like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page so you can be kept updated that way. Those are the two platforms where you can watch these podcasts, YouTube and Facebook. And as always, I'm incredibly grateful for our ever-growing global audience. Bit of a tongue twister, ever-growing global audience. Thanks to you for tuning in each week. Okay, one of the things I love, and I say this every time, one of the things I love about producing and hosting this podcast, doing this seva, is I get to virtually travel all around the world. And this week it's time to go back to India, the motherland, so to speak. I am absolutely delighted to welcome our guest this week. It's Visvambhar Krpa Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu, it's great to have you with us. Finally, you and I have been liaising with each other for a couple of weeks. Um, and I believe we're going to have a great conversation today. And I'm also of the view we'll be working together more in the future as well, which is quite exciting. Okay, Vishvambhar Kripa Prabhu, let's start with the first question. It's the first question every guest gets just to warm them up. Please tell us a little bit about you and where you are from.
I am from born and brought up near New Delhi. I am now 41 and I came to Krishna consciousness during my education in engineering in IIT Varanasi
Wow.
year 2003. So it has been about 23 years in devotional service.
Wow.
And since my childhood, I had curiosity about how the nature is functioning and where can I find genuine selfless person. And I had desire to do something noble for the society since my childhood. And my queries could not be answered by any of my family members. So I've been literally searching for the truth at different levels, searching for the true understanding of soul, creation, and the creator behind it. So all my queries were put to full stop when Hare Krishna devotees came to my college during October 2003. And the very first program that I participated, I cried for 20 minutes. I was at the back because arrived late, about 10 minutes to the program. So I was at the back. And when I heard about the explanation of soul and the Supreme Lord in a scientific way, logical way, I felt sheltered and I felt relieved. And following 3, 4 months, I had thousands and thousands of queries from that person who produced the seminar. And that person actually became my long-standing mentor from that very first meeting. So since 2019, now we're trying to serve in a way that Srila Prabhupada desire are fulfilled, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desires are fulfilled by trying to serve the individual and have a situation and system by which Krishna consciousness can spread in a very natural way, what it was during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time.
Wow. Well, our story is quite similar actually, because I'm also 41 years old. And I met devotees not at university, but through university in 2004. So a
Mhm.
year just after you.
Very simple.
So very kind of similar story in some sense. Did you have you've talked about being curious from a young age, from a child, in terms of wanting to explore spirituality. What about God? What about what happens when we die? Um, did you have a kind of a religious upbringing? Were your parents religious in any way?
Yeah, yes, 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 very much. I was trained actually from childhood, but the whole culture in India have been like that. So mm, the whole family was very devout religiously. And in India, there is a very standard culture of worship of Lord Shiva, Mother Durga, Hanumanji, and Lord Krishna. We would celebrate Janmashtami, and Govardhan Puja was there in our home every year. We would visit Vrindavan and do parikrama. So, and I would go to temples in my town every day. That was far, 2, 3 kilometers far. So I would go every day walking. However, uh, it was based initially, the proposition of approaching the 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 demigods or the Supreme
Mm.
Lord Krishna. That time there was no clarity. Was to have something for material desire. And I was told that you ask for some good education. So I would do that. And I asked for first rank in my class, and I got that. However, in my 10th standard, my teacher asked me because one of the day I was going to temple, and he was very close to me. He was teaching me private tuitions also, just out of his loving gestures towards me. And he asked me where I was going today evening, that evening. And I said, I'm going to temple. He asked me, why do you go? He said, because I want to get first rank. He said, what's the use of doing business with God? I was just 13-year-old that time. And that kind of shook me very much. And I came and told my mother, why have you educated me to do business with God? This is not good. So, uh, so it was regular Indian family celebrating all the festivals. We had joint family. We still have thousands of relatives around uh, Delhi, and many of them have scattered to different places in India. But we grew up in a very religious setting. However, when my great grandmother expired, died because of extreme old age, my elder sister and other people, they were talking about Atma, different kind of theories and all.
Mm.
And I was like that time just 4, 5 year old that time, maybe 6. And I got curious to know really about these things. And I went to the crematorium ground for the first time. And I kind of want to fathom about what's life, what's death, what's what's the reality. So those kind of questions when I asked my family member, they asked me to read Bhagavad Gita, but I could never understand it. Neither they could answer my questions about reincarnation or anything. It was never satisfactory to me. And on other hand, they taught me to be cultivating material desire that was that was broken down when I was 13 by my teacher. So I kind of was nowhere. When I turned 14, I kind of found myself into vacuum. Very, very uh, insecure about my life in terms of I'm not able to get the answers. And on the other side, I was choosing to go into engineering, and the promises of science and technology was also very curious and promising, and that is tangible. So within my heart, I was kind of turning atheist within my heart. However, when I went to my college, there is Banaras Hindu University where I got educated. There is a huge Lord Shiva temple. So within this, all sorts of confusion in my life, I would cry for very long times. I mean, so every evening I would go there, and just my privacy, I would cry there, praying to Lord Shiva that kindly help me. And just following year, devotees came.
Wow. Wow. It's a wonderful story, actually. It's a great story. And I also love how you explain it. You're very good at explaining things and telling stories in that sense. Okay. Um, eh, I want to talk a bit now about your organization, which was one of the main reasons we've been corresponding over the last couple of weeks. Prabhuji, can you tell us what is the Vaishvika Gauranga Samaja Foundation? What are the organization's aims and objectives, and what do you hope to achieve?
Hare Krishna. Vaishvika Gauranga Samaj Foundation is nothing but what Srila Prabhupada wants, what is written in his books, and what is transparently coming through the lineage of Parampara. This Gauranga Samaj name we found actually on eve of Bhaktivinoda Thakur disappearance day in 2016 at Bhaktivedanta Research Library in Kolkata. The article talks about, this is a very old article. It was actually enveloped and eaten by worms. It was in Bengali, and I was not so expert at reading Bengali, but I had a project for writing elaborate biography of Srila Prabhupada. I was given the project by my local temple in Kolkata.
Wow.
So I've been doing extensive research about Srila Prabhupada life. Uh, that book is due and will be coming in the future. So I was doing research for that and found this article of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur entitled Gauranga Samaj. It talks about how community building was the thing Mahaprabhu wanted. And he clarifies that from various quotations from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavad, how in Varanasi there was community of devotees. And through the writings of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which I studied deeply later on for the same research, I found out that Mahaprabhu also established the similar community at Jagannath Puri, where people from all varnas and all ashramas can be united in devotional service. There, Lord Jagannath and chanting of the holy name and Vaishnava Sangha and Vaishnava relationship. And Rupa and Sanatan were sent to Vrindavan to write literature to propagate this culture. So Vaishvika Gauranga Samaj is the desire of all of our acharyas. ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is actually with the same goal Prabhupada instituted. Society, localized society worldwide, where the local people, whether they are Indian or whether they are different states of India, whether they are French, German, British, American, Australian, whatever, locally they come together and make society of devotees, following the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are producing literature. Our core goal here is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's core instruction in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 7.128, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed to Kurma Brahmana in Kurmukshetra while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to South India. He mentioned to him, Jare dekha tara kah Krishna Padesh, Hamar agya Guru hoya tare ei desh. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Kurma Brahmana wanted to leave his family life and wanted to retire just to travel with Mahaprabhu. But however, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, you stay at your home with your wife and cultivate a community here and guide your local people here. And 3-4 verses down the line from this verse, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami mentions that this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told any local village person, especially who are in the capacity to lead. So Mahaprabhu told each and every village and town, too few of the individuals that kindly build the community of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada had the same desire to have autonomous, localized communities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that. In fact, during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Acharya Prabhu and his wife, they were local guide in Shantipur. Same way Srivas Thakur and his wife Malini. Same way Shivanand Sen and many others. So this vision, Srila Prabhupada desire of ISKCON, Vaishvika Gauranga Samaj, based on Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu culture, and instruction in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they are all one and same. So, and to be able to do that, people need to be guided in while being in devotional service, how to maturely practice devotional service according to their status of life, according to their occupation. Because scriptures explain that the form of bhakti will not be one form for all kind of people. The application of bhakti will be different. Their physical need, emotional need, psychological needs, and the way to perform bhakti will be different. And that's how Shastra mentions. So we are developing huge network of Shastra, which deals with all the practicalities of practical devotional service according to every individual status of life, stage of life, and their occupation. So we have 4 pillars for this. One is Vedic library. Srila Prabhupada wanted that to have research on Vedic literature for the practical assistance to devotees in every field of life. That I will talk about gradually. So Vedic library. Then for education of that, Vedic courses, Vedic mentoring, and how to actually build Vedic community from the scratch. All these things are given in Shastra. So Vedic library, Vedic courses, education, training, Vedic mentoring, practical help. Not that we have to have huge course of education and somebody may just have a situation. So mentoring, and then Vedic community, how to build a Vedic community locally. And we have, for everything, we solely and solely rely on our scriptures. Without any speculation, without any agenda. All of our literature are produced in the format like Srila Prabhupada books. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the formation curriculum, formation document of Gaudiya Math, I have read that. He has written that he wants literature in this format, the way Srila Prabhupada has produced. Your verse, especially if they are different British or English, then you have English transliteration, synonym, translation, and purport. So, so all varieties of Shastra, I could discuss gradually about that, but everything that is being done and guided is fully authorized by Shastra. So, because it is transparent education with original reference to Shastra, anybody can understand it, anybody can repeat it. So it can multiply. Srila Prabhupada wanted education to be, the scriptures to be centralized and functionalities to be decentralized. And Vedic scriptures are so practical that it takes care of person in every possible situation of life and how to help that person from what level he is. So it's building a model of education and implementation so that it can easily replicate.
Hmm.
So that's what
quite
Vaishvika Gauranga
amazing. It's quite amazing. And what I find amazing, but also it's not amazing because everything is Krishna's arrangement, is before we started recording this conversation. So I didn't know what you were really going to, what the details of your talk was going to be. But before we started recording, we were talking about local autonomous communities in the Hare
Yeah.
Krishna movement. And wow, and now this is what your organization's doing. It's quite amazing.
So education can be implemented any nook
Yes.
and corner of the world. And as Srila Prabhupada repeatedly talks, that Krishna consciousness is a science. The laws of God are all pervading. So, in my last 8 years of application of the Shastra to innumerable devotees, I repeatedly found how factually our Vedic literatures are.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell us a bit about how I think you said earlier that you've been operating independently since 2019.
Yeah.
So since then you've
Actually, Prabhu, I have been always been independent because nobody in the institution could force me to do anything.
Mm,
I never acted like that.
mm,
And when it was too much for them, they kind of could not adjust. But I was ready to do anything with my freedom. But I never allowed my freedom to be overtaken by any administration.
mm,
I never
mm.
did that.
You and I are very similar, actually. I'm seeing all these similarities. Maybe we're the same star sign. I don't know, but certainly, I've always struggled with people telling me what to do as well. It's ever since I was young. But in terms of the development and the growth of the Vaishvika Gauranga Samaja Foundation, that's really grown over the last 6 or 7 years.
It was started with another organization named Sri Gauranga Samaj. And the vision had been that for local community building, there would be several organizations with autonomous legal entities.
Yeah.
However, we are instituting this Vaishvika Gauranga Samaj specially to have centralized scriptures. And each of the local devotees can have localized operations,
Mm,
which is gradually spreading. There are different devotees coming together at different locations in India. And now with connection to perhaps it can spread this education basically.
yeah. Yeah. It
As
sounds
devotees
wonderful.
find it relevant. So this Vaishvika Gauranga Samaj is focusing so that there can be authorized curriculum and content scriptures development can be at one is just like Srila Prabhupada made BBT.
Yeah. 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 Because I think you're based in West Bengal, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you're operating your activities from there and
Yeah.
supporting others from West Bengal. And in terms of the network at the moment, I mean, how many of you are involved with the organization?
Locally, actually, my way of functioning is very personalized. Uh, I don't actually work in the sense of that missionary spirit, quote unquote missionary spirit. My conviction is that I serve the individual person and how that individual person will blossom in his devotional service. I try to do anything possible for that person. And with that, project comes up naturally. So there was one particular devotee for he was actually from villages of Bengal, one of the village of Bengal, and he was there in city doing job. So gradually for his devotional service, I visited his home in one of the village in Bengal, and just for his sake, we started something there based on what is naturally given in scriptures to do bhakti.
Mm,
Same way I connect with different devotees in cities, towns also. So as that person uh, can practice devotional service for on and on in his life,
mm,
with that idea, we went ahead, and gradually Krishna's mercy. This is my conviction based on Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, verses number 68 and 69. Krishna says, one who try to serve my devotee, one who serves my devotee and reveals the signs of bhakti, I'm most pleased with that person. So that's the simplistic understanding I have. And with that, Krishna empowered, and Krishna is constantly empowering with deep understanding of Shastra. I'm not a scholar, but what I received from my superior, that same attitude in trying to share devotional service with others at any amount of risk, any amount of efforts, with no agenda or gain for institution or for mission or whatever. Mission is to serve the individual person. And with that, it naturally expands.
Mm, mm,
So, so that's the mindset we are operating.
mm,
And that infuses the people who are in touch with that local person to innumerable people. Like we had devotional service in the home of one of the village for the sake of this devotee. And after marriage, he did shift into the village because we discussed many things. And it was COVID time, and by Krishna's arrangement, he had work from home possible. But he had left the job just to be with the family and practice devotional service the way household life should be. So he understood the dynamics of family life, and he himself took the decision to shift. And with that bhakti, how he practiced with his family,
mm,
many families look up. Now
mm.
we have a slogan for our local community: Amar Gram, Amar Parivar. This is in Bengali. That whole of my village is my home, my own house. So, so, and now it is spreading village after village from one
Mm.
village because every villagers they have their relatives around. So it's naturally spreading. Same way it is in cities also. Even if the city people are away from their parents and all, but as they understand devotional service, they become so the core of everything actually, how it expands is very organic connections. The dharma, the culture is based on five foundational cares. Priority number one is women care. That is, according to Shastra, is the highest priority. Second are old. Third are children. Fourth are cows. Fifth are brahmanas. So this is the sequence we apply Krishna consciousness, and it naturally expands. And so it's spreading village after village. How much count can I tell? And gradually it will be spreading with some new connections to different other states of India apart from West Bengal. It has been spreading in Mumbai, Pune, Delhi, different other cities of Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra.
Wow.
So I have no management headache much. One or two projects I'm personally involved, but rest it spreads. Because that's the beauty of decentralized setup, that each person can know what is what. For his own life, he feels joyful, even coming from the complex situation of what people have experienced because of ignorance, basically, because of lack of awareness, how to apply devotional service according to one's stage of life and one's occupation. So
Mm.
it just naturally spreads. But however, I have a core team of 5, 6 people, and because it's decentralized, we don't control anybody. My
It,
focus is to develop education,
mm.
curriculum, and pass it on down the line.
It actually sounds very much that the foundation that you've established is very similar to the Hare Krishna project in Britain. I spend a lot of my time traveling around the country meeting devotees who are
Mhm.
uh, who are needing support, who are needing encouragement, who are perhaps not part of a temple, who are not part of a community, and it's about providing pastoral support and care to them,
Amazing.
and encouraging them to develop their own organic projects. They want to set up an Amahata in their home. Well, great, do that. Do that. This is some advice. These are some tips in terms of how you can do it. But I'm feeling very inspired. I'm feeling very inspired. And one of the things that I love is that it sounds like for several years you've been doing what we're doing now at the League of Devotees. And actually we're all trying to achieve the same thing. And I meet people all the time and I'm like, why don't we start working together? Why don't we start working together? And so
Krishna is silently bringing the pieces of the puzzle
yeah,
together.
yeah, it's quite remarkable.
We encourage to learn from all the devotees in your group.
Yeah, and we'll be doing that after today. I can assure you of that. We might come back to that a bit later on. But the next thing just to kind of discuss is that during our correspondence over the last couple of weeks, you've expressed concern about cultural deviations in ISKCON and the misapplications of Srimad Bhagavatam in ISKCON. Can you give us some examples of this?
Thousands of examples.
Give us a few.
You see, Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of entire Vedic literature. However, to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam itself says in first canto, first chapter, verse number 6, that the qualification to repeat Srimad Bhagavatam, the person must be acquainted with Puranas, Itihasas, and Dharma Shastras. And in absence of understanding of Puranas because Puranas actually presents the culture in its natural form. Bhagavatam is the highest Purana, Bhagavad Purana. However, Bhagavatam is spoken in a very contradictory situation. And the examples given in Bhagavatam are very controversial because Bhagavatam establishes not the dharma of this world primarily. The Bhagavatam is establishing the dharma of soul, the dharma of the relationship of Jivatma with the Supreme Lord. So it is establishing the highest dharma, Paro Dharma. And even for any person in any complicated situation, it establishes the nature of engagement of the soul. However, if Bhagavatam is understood literally in terms of culture, as Bhagavatam teaches, one is ought to make mistake. For example, in my childhood, my my parents had different in opinion with my uncles over property issues and family finances. So sometimes we all, 6, 7 family members would cry about some of the injustices happening in the joint family. And sometimes logical argument will come that we should fight for the truth. We should fight for our property. And some of the family members, my elder brother would give example. My father was very tolerant. Let whatever my uncles are doing, let them do. Doesn't matter. God will see. However, some of the family members will say, no, for the sake of truth, Bhagavad Gita suggests to fight. You have to rise up and stand for justice. So now, while we had situation to meet and interact people, sometimes people fear that if you keep Bhagavad Gita, the fight will incur because it talks about fight. However, Bhagavad Gita is spoken in a situation, in a context. The context is Arjuna is a warrior, he's a Kshatriya. And his duty as a specific case study that he should fight for dharma. However, dharma of an intellectual person or Brahmanical person, visionary person is different. Dharma of Vaishya or business class person is different. The dharma of a working class person would be different. However, the essence of Bhagavad Gita is it talks about whatever order, varna and ashram one has got naturally in his social situation, that one should do as Krishna instructed. However, when people try to manipulate, have a subjective situation of uh, the objective, the very case study of Arjuna, to make it generalize that Bhagavad Gita teaches about war, will be mistaken. In the same way, Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken in the context of Parikshit Maharaj, who is about to retire. He is in a specific situation in his life. He is almost like renounced everything. And then he is preparing for death. However, that situation you cannot apply in terms of culture to everybody. And within that context, to help him, the final conclusion of Vedic Shastra, that is Parodharma, has been described. With that said, I would give you a few examples. I went to one home few years back, and the devotee was trained up in youth preaching in one of the temples. So now he was married and he had a child, 6-year-old kid. So that father told the son that kindly sing Narsimharti to Prabhu. He sang Narsimharti. And then I inquired from the child, who is Prahlad Maharaj? He said, devotee. And I asked, who is Narsimhadev? He said, he's the Supreme Lord. And I asked, who is Hiranyakashipu? He said, he's the father of, he's a Rakshas, he's the demon. And I asked, what is the relationship of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu? He thought for a while and said, they're father and son. I asked him, why did God kill the father of this devotee? He said, Prabhu, because he was not chanting Hare Krishna. This is a child, 6-year child. He has not gone to any of the temples, but his father did. Then I asked him, tomorrow if your father stops to chant and you are chanting 16 round, would you like your father to be killed? And moreover, your grandfather is anyway not chanting. Your father is chanting 16 round, he is initiated. Would you want your grandfather to be killed? So that child was shocked. He was trembling that his understanding has been exposed to be wrong. And he looked towards his father in disbelief that he has educated him something wrong. Then I told the father the same thing, that for householder, the Dharma Shastras describe that even though the father of a householder, parents of the household, father and mother, even if they are rogue, they are drunkard, they are womanizer, they are murderer or even of their guru, or have illicit relationship with guru's wife, even to that extent, if the parents are sinful, it's a duty of the son to serve the parents, not to agree with the wrong things, but it's the duty of the children, grown-up children, to take care of the parents. And if one does that, he will attain Vishnu Lok. He will attain Vaikuntha and he will go back to Godhead. This is in Padma Purana. Now, this is for household life. However, we see in much of the youth preaching or in general community culture, this gratitude towards elders is not much in education. People come to do job in city. That's nice. Another example, one young devotee, unmarried. He was in Kolkata. I knew him closely. And then he had got job in another city. He helped establish more than 10 youth centers locally in another city. Extensive preaching he did. Meanwhile, his father expired and he was the only son. His mother was back there in Bengal, helpless. And this person had been preaching extensively. And at one point of time, he collapsed. At one point of time, he felt very, very uncared for. And he purposefully, his mother would sometimes come and meet me in the temple, that what has happened. And by the time he had found one girl and got married also. But his understanding was the family life is Maya, parents are Maya. He left his widowed mother alone, very, very far, with the understanding that it's not good to maintain multiple attachments to family. How harsh, how harsh. But when I told the principles of protection of women, that first it is important for you to align with your wife. But this thing, Prabhu, amazingly, nobody told him. He helped started 10 centers. He was already preaching in Bengal. When he had job, then he preached locally. Not a single senior person told him what is his duty towards mother. And he was thinking that he will not get married because the preaching in youth is that you join the temple, quote unquote. Join means you become sannyasi. Join means you never get married again. Of course, some may get married, but the whole focus is they never educate how to live in household life. And when they come through a situation of marriage, they don't know what to do. They don't know what kind of girl will be suitable for them. They don't know how to live devotional service, live in Krishna consciousness as a family person. How to do devotional service. So, so, so when we discuss again, then he shifted to Bengal with his wife and he started to care for his mother. It was so much confusion in his life. Same way, there is so much disturbance in family life within husband-wife relationship. Much of the education is actually misuse of Bhagavatam. You try to apply principle of externals of sannyas into household life between husband and wife relationship. In fact, they in ignorance they are actually doing adharma, and that leads to divorce, so much of quarrels, sometimes extramarital relationship, and so much complexity. Because I dealt with several of these cases, and by Krishna's grace, all of these cases are now stabilized. Because without knowledge of how to perform the duty and what are the duties, because the duties in sannyas is different than household life. The Bhagavad Gita says 3.35, Shreyansha dharma vigano paro dharma bhayavaha, that if one does others' duty, Krishna chastises Arjuna that don't do duty of Brahmana, you're a Kshatriya. You should do your duty. However troublesome it may be. But if you do others' duty, it will be very, very fear creating. So the brahmachari ashram, for example, the complete mismatch from the actual definition of brahmachari ashram. It just, okay, there is a beginning of how people can come to college and they can come and join temple and they get trained. Most of them get married. But brahmachari life means not just within an institution. Here in India, it's very common nowadays, devotees talk about. He's not a brahmachari, he's a karamachari. He's a worker, unpaid labor. Brahmachari means brahmachari gurukula. He stays in the ashram of guru for cultivation of knowledge with the sense control so that he can take responsibility of future ashrams. Another dramatic example I'll give. This is one of the top educational institute of ISKCON, which conduct courses on Bhagavatam. I got to meet one of the teacher. So I was walking with him, first time I met him, walking with him way back to temple after Rath Yatra. This is 4 years back. So we were talking, just chatting, what do you do? And he asked me, what do you do? He said he's teaching Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhagavatam. And 6 months he come to deliver the courses, three months done twice. Another 6 months, three months each, he does temple management, fundraising, and local preaching. I asked him, why do you conduct these courses? He said, just because I get to read Prabhupada books by that. And I said, do your audience actually get benefit from your education? He said, I do not know. And then he himself gave an example. He was teaching fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he was teaching Forest of Material Enjoyment, chapter, 14th chapter of Bhagavatam. So there one of the verse is that how wife is compared to jackal. And children are also compared to troublesome animal. You have read that, Prabhu? Yes. So while he was speaking, quote unquote from exact words of shloka translation, elaborate explanations by Srila Prabhupada, there were sitting few of the brahmacharis, few of the vanaprastha people, householders, and some matajis as well, some ladies as well. One of the lady, he himself is telling, the teacher, and he has been teaching there for 8-9 years. So he himself said that one of the Mataji actually raised the hand. He said, Prabhu, I am a housewife. What do I do with this knowledge that here wife is compared to jackal? And he said, Mataji, and she said that actually you are repeating as it is from Srila Prabhupada books. You are repeating as it is. But what do I do with this knowledge? He said, Mataji, I do not know. Then I asked this devotee while we were walking, can I answer you? He said, of course, Prabhu. So then I said, Prabhu, this discussion is there between Jad Bharat, who is a fixed sannyasi, Paramhamsa sannyasi, and Maharaj Rahuguna, who is a Kshatriya, who had been a king, and now he is going towards retirement age, and is going to another holy place to hear Krishna Katha. As a king, Jad Bharat was earlier king, Bharat Maharaj. His duty as a king is to protect and care for women, old, children, cows, and brahmanas, physically, emotionally, as well as spiritually. So he would never disrespect ladies. And so as Maharaj Rahuguna, he was also a king. He was the king already. So there was no point that they will disrespect the ladies. However, I told him that it's a discussion between a liberated sannyasi and a person who wants to come out of family life. So with that perspective, Jad Bharat is helping him to do his duty for Vanaprastha life. And then I explained him that according to Varnashram culture, the Vedic culture, which is universal culture, a student, brahmachari life means student. A student must be taught about dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. This is explained by Srila Prabhupada quoting Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 25.121. A student must be taught about dharma. Dharma means duties in life. Tomorrow you get married, then how to take care of wife, parents, children, and relatives around the society, and also cows and people who are selflessly trying to guide them. So he must know about the duties in life. That is called dharma. And for executing his duty, he need to have financial security according to his particular occupation. So he need to know how to earn his wealth. That's what whole education today is. They don't talk about responsibility, they talk about techniques and different avenues by which people can earn. So this education is there going on, education system, artha. And for kama, for dealing of all fulfillment of desires, including husband-wife relationship, what's the education? People try out all sorts of social media avenues or magazines or videos, online stuff. But this need is there. And then moksha means how to operate with no anxiety, with liberated state of mentality. This is universal that students are looking for dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. And Srila Prabhupada explains that it's a duty of the teacher, of the guru, to guide a student or a brahmachari into four aspects of life. While pursuing goal of life, that is relationship with Krishna, revival of relationship with Krishna, which is devotional service. So five things must be educated to a student:
Mm.
bhakti, dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Now, for a householder, bhakti is again Navada Bhakti, ninefold bhakti is a practiced. But household life involves three varga: dharma, artha, and kam. Moksha is very fact that a person is trying to please Krishna according to his social situation, according to his status and order of life. And the practice of bhakti, Navada Bhakti, is there for him also. But the duties are dharma, artha, kam, three varga. Even Dhruv Maharaj, when he was a pure devotee, as a householder, he practiced three varga: dharma, artha, kam. So then he is operational within dharma, artha, kam because he has been educated. Retired person, vanaprastha life is about retirement from artha and kama. So when Bhagavatam tells about that artha and kama are bad, sex life and financial economic prosperity is bad, it is bad for vanaprastha. Because vanaprastha gradually should retire from artha and kama. However, it is need for the householder to engage into it in a dharmic way. And sannyasi, he completely abstain from any desire for artha and kama. So this is how the renounced life, retired life, household life, and student lives are naturally. It is not matter of whether one follows Krishna or the scientific system of Vedic culture or not. These are universal situation. However, when they are misapplied, the duties of one ashram is applied to another ashram, it creates havoc.
Mm.
And there are details of that into Dharma Shastra. Srila Prabhupada told repeatedly in Bhagavatam first canto, 16th chapter, verse number 1. Srila Prabhupada says that there are 20 Dharma Shastras, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati want three prominent Dharma Shastra: Manu Samhita, Yajnavalkya Smriti, and Prasha Smriti to be taught. And if the leaders are not taught into these three books, the leaders are impractical fool. So now it's a time that all the leaders and in general devotees must be educated in dharma, because dharma hi hina pashubhi samana. I gave you few examples. I could give so many, Prabhu, so many of
Mm.
conflicting examples where people in ignorance actually they don't know what to do. Bhagavad Gita 16.7 says, Pravrittimcha nivrittimcha janana vidurasa. Those who are demoniac or those who are ignorant, they don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. And again, Srila Prabhupada talks about Manusmriti there, Manu Samhita there, because it is Manav Dharma Shastra, how the human life should be. From Manu Maharaj, we became Manushya, human being. So, how the human being should live, that has been in detail described in Dharma Shastras. So, therefore, when Bhagavatam is applied without the knowledge of Dharma Shastras, Itihasas means Ramayana and Mahabharata, because it operates from dharma, how the community works, how relationship works. You know about Ramayana, same way Mahabharata. So within the culture of present ISKCON society, there is no healthy education of this Shastra. In fact, there has been so many attempts to actually sideline this. While we try to present the solution, people are not open to accept this. So there are innumerable challenges in relationship. Externally, so our Hare Krishna people actually have become, our temples have become actually Hare Krishna church.
Mm.
Especially when I'm talking about Indian setup. It's all colonial culture, colonial value system, but externally you are Hare Krishna. So many, so many confusion. The same way you're talking about sannyasis dealing with their female disciples. There is a way to deal with female energy. There is a dharmic way of dealing. Because how much can I elaborate all this nuisance? Because dharma hi hina pashu bhi samana. Without dharma, they will be like animal and then, however, and practice devotion service with animalistic culture. So I can describe so
Mm.
many practical details, but I don't want to go into all the shabby stuff. But just a
Well,
hint here.
well, thank you for what you have shared. I really do appreciate it, and I certainly resonate with a lot of the things that you've said. And I was just thinking there quite deeply when you mentioned about kind of Hare Krishna Church, and certainly what I've seen, uh, my personal experience, what I've seen in ISKCON temples is they've become kind of social clubs or clubs of people, and you're either in the club or you're not in the club. That's not the case for everybody going to the temple, but there's this real focus on we're in a club, and actually we need to have this division between us and society. And people don't feel very welcomed. A lot of people contact me because they've been to their local ISKCON temple and they don't feel included. They don't feel welcomed. Nobody talks to them.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of club mentality, which wasn't Prabhupada's approach at all. Srila Prabhupada was about looking outwards. How can we look out into the community and attract ordinary people to Krishna consciousness?
Yeah. Actually, the bhakti has to be given according to where they stand.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very scientific how Prabhupada dealt, but the science is explained in our Shastra. Tetra Upanishad explains the education means you connect to the psychology and the current level of consciousness of the person. There are five levels of consciousness: Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. So the leader especially have to immediately detect what's the level of the consciousness of the person he is interacting with. And he tried to help him from his current level of consciousness to above. And that's where one requires maturity. So many brahmacharis in our temples, they are marrying at very late age and they have no future. They don't know how to earn their livelihood. They have they have made mess with their families. They have not much social relationship. They have no bank balance. And now at 50 or late 40s, they are all of the sudden faced with so much situation. Now, what do they do in their life? Somehow drag on to complete their life.
Mm.
They just messed up with life, and that's happening to thousands of people. Even after having repeated mistakes in my attempt, they are not open to understand the frailties that they have implemented in the system. In fact, sometimes some devotees say that it's purposefully done. It's consciously implemented. This Western culture. I don't know. I just work on solution. So my faith is that if we give education to devotees in general and those open-minded leader, today or tomorrow there will be better situation.
Mm.
And this Shastra tells everything in practicality. Moreover, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1st, verse number 17, chapter 17, verse number 38, Srila Prabhupada defines dharma very nicely. That dharma means to help a person where he is, little above that. Suppose absolute principle is no smoking, for example. One should not smoke. However, somebody is smoking 7 cigarettes a day, for example. And if a mature guide will tell, kindly smoke 3 cigarettes a day. So Shastra defines that as dharma for him. It may not be the absolute no smoking immediately, but you help a person from where he is and that engage him in devotional service around his situation. That's what actually Shastra talks about. So Vedic culture is very open-minded. And within that, with that strength of maturity, Srila Prabhupada was very practical when he went to Western world.
Mm.
He didn't talk about this detail philosophically, but he lived that philosophy. in application in his behavior. What you're talking about, that they feel wanted, they feel cared for, they feel accepted.
Mm, mm, mm. Well, thank you for that. That's uh, wonderful, and certainly, I think you and I could do another podcast in the future on cultural deviations and misapplications. So, thank you for those examples that you did share. They were certainly very useful, and very helpful. Could you perhaps tell us a bit
Another
about?
example. I'll tell another example.
Yeah,
For
go on, go
example,
on.
the first case I had to deal was a devotee just after his marriage. He was found by his wife to have extramarital relationship. This is in India. This is the first case I had to deal amongst devotees to help it out. So there is a general understanding of sex for only for procreation. Yes, that means only when you want kid, only that time you engage in physical relationship. That was the understanding given or somehow pervading all over the education understanding. However, when I saw this practical situation that this person, his wife was troubled, and I came to know about this situation from the third party because the wife is troubled, and uh, in India particularly, this is a death situation for a wife when, especially extramarital relationship, husband is engaged into. So then I understood practically with practical reality that at least he should be dharmic within his own with his own wife, whatever may be their details of their intimate life, but better be stable with his own wife rather than adharmically going different places. So that kind of gave me practical understanding that there are highest standard, but there is a thing that in Vedic Shastra, sex is also considered spiritual when is applied according to one's duty. In some of the religious systems, which Srila Prabhupada also dealt with, this is very critical. When Prabhupada went to West, because there is an inherent uh, disliking towards sex, there is so much misuse of sex. It goes to another extreme. Vedic culture never propagates women being unmarried. However, the religious system in the West do talks about nun culture. We can respect that females also they could adjust with their desires, possible. And there must be great ladies in the Western culture as well. However, what the Vedic literature talks in detail about psychology of female and psychology of men too. So, Srila Prabhupada, when he went, then he talks in various conversations. The culture, nun culture, actually, the senior ladies in the nun, they're actually supplying the ladies in the church to so many other places, like prostitution house. I'm not telling subjectively everywhere, but that's how situation it becomes to unnatural, and so that kind of trigger feminist culture and that ego situation. Same way, there is another extreme in Arabic countries where there is a domination of male and there is a heavy exploitation of female there also. We are not against any religious belief or system. However, Vedic culture, original Vedic culture is very dynamic. There is a situation where male dominates, husband dominates. There is a situation where female dominates. And according to the law given by the Supreme Lord, Ishavasam idam sarvam yat kinche jagatam jagat tena taktena bhunjita ma grihatkasya siddhanam. Krishna ordained when within a family life, when husband should be dominant, where husband should be dominant, and the place where wife should be dominant, why she should be dominant, and how she should be dominant. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the boy and girl relationship is like movement of snake. It's zigzag. And that's how you find in pastimes of Radha and Krishna, although it is like super divine, but culture is coming from there, culturally. Spiritually, it is totally transcendental. But the cultural part of this, because it's a reflection. You see, sometimes Radharani is in Man Leela. she is angry with Krishna. Sometimes Krishna is also angry with Radharani. Sometimes Krishna decorates Radharani, Srimati Radharani. Sometimes Radharani decorates Krishna. So the Vedic culture is actually very, very profound. It's a fulfillment even in cultural setting. And that's how you find in pastimes of Kardamuni and Devati also in Bhagavatam. So I told that devotee who was educating to that Mataji about fifth canto that this situation of Jad Bharat and Maharaj Raghuguna is sannyasi and Vanaprastha talking. But you can tell to Mataji, same Mataji, that for her as a family housewife or as a wife, she can study Kardamoni Devati pastimes. She can study Kashyap and Diti, Kashyap and Aditi pastimes. So they are more relevant towards household life. So that devotee was amazed that how actually Bhagavatam must be studied, that which pastime is spoken in which context. In fact, in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami explains in 11th Vilas that bhakti is differently practiced in different varna and ashram. And now, however, in the culture that we have is just wholesale one system for everyone. It doesn't work. Sex life is bad for sannyasi. That means sex life has to be bad for householders. No, it's a different dynamics. And when that maturity is not there, it leads to so many unnecessary problems. So there is education. We are producing literature in Dharma Shastra, innumerable Dharma Shastra, very practically. Arth Shastra, dealing with finance and finance of the whole community. Niti Shastra, how to identify good and bad person, how to deal with in different circumstances. And Kama Shastra, how to deal with the desires in household life. So students must be educated. So there is a wrong interpretation given about sex life also. Uh, but there is education about this given in our Vedic literature, which is based on dharma. So we are producing all this literature and guiding people according to what situation they are and how to apply it in different contexts according to their particular need. And actually, dharma, artha, kam, and moksha, they are originated from the Supreme Lord. So essentially, they are divine. Essentially, they are divine. Just like it's Bhagavatam says, Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yat jnanam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwaniti shabdate. The absolute truth manifested in three features. Brahmeti, the all-pervading laws. Then Paramatmeti, as the localized feature, as Paramatma in the heart. And as Bhagwan, as the personality of Godhead, with his Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela. So, how come when we approach Krishna with Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela and defy his laws at the Brahman level? So, the laws God has given for social setup so in a community, for which varna, which ashram, there are laws given. How come we practice bhakti and defy the laws of Krishna? It may be like, you are serving the prime minister of the country, but then when you have to drive your car, you break all the red light signal and everything. You may be cooking for the prime minister, but you cannot break the laws of, you know, the the driving.
Yeah.
You have to follow both. So that's where the maturity is. Then who can apply what? What are the details? And but in Kali Yuga, not everybody can follow all the laws. That is also described about the situation of Kali Yuga. So therefore, in Kali Santana Upanishad, it is explained the person who cannot, by his mental situation, social situation, cannot come out of sinful life. Quote unquote, there are so many details is described in Dharma Shastra. For him, the holy name will deliver. However, he must know what the sinful life is and should not be resentful towards the path of dharma, towards the path of culture. That's what Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita 3.31. That one, Krishna also says one should not be envious of principle of duty. but one may not be able to do his duty out of Kali Yuga intense situation. Like somebody may be earning far distance, but he may literally not in a situation to serve his parents. Or wife may not be inclined to serve the parents of the husband. He may be literally helpless in that condition. He knows what should be done, what should not be done. So person who helplessly chants the holy name, that's what Kali Santan Upanishad, then holy names, fulfill that gap. And then there are entire detail of bhakti given in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami is the book which talks about engagement in devotional service in so many varieties of ways. He is actually the Diksha Guru. If you're talking about Diksha Guru, Sanatana Goswami book Hari Bhakti Vilas is the book for community development. Srila Prabhupada, when he came to India in 1971, he spoke in one of the lecture in Bombay, that my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, wanted Deva Varnashram, a devotional community, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu built in Puri, or what Bhakti Thakur talks about, Gauranga Samaj, built in Varanasi, and all the scriptures written by Goswami for propagation of that divine community. That 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 principle of community development, I just forgot. I was mentioning something and then I connected this back
You were
here.
talking about local. You were talking, giving examples of communities in terms of Varnashram. You talked about Puri.
Yeah. So there, Prabhupada talks about that my Guru Maharaj wanted this devotional community, and for that we need Hari Bhakti Vilas. There are so much misunderstanding spread about Hari Bhakti Vilas within ISKCON culture. I've spoken repeatedly at to the leaders, but they have wrong understanding implemented in their system. So this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami to write this book for the deliverance of the entire humanity. And many of the leaders, very sorry to say, outrightly reject Hari Bhakti Vilas in the name of Srila Prabhupada, quoting Srila Prabhupada illusory pastimes. The Srila Prabhupada told that Hari Bhakti Vilas, if you study, you have to be in bathroom whole day. There are so many rules and regulations. In fact, it is not like that. Hari Bhakti Vilas explains that anybody, I'll give you an example, anybody who drinks Charnamrit of the Lord, even though he may be vegetarian, non-vegetarian, he becomes respected in the community of devotees. So it's a book about how any person of any background of sinful life within the community of devotees, he can blossom and give up his sinful life gradually. And then when his desire is exclusively pure devotional service, that's where Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, nectar of devotion, come into play. So Hari Bhakti Vilas entertains a person with any sort of desire within the realm of bhakti, how through Panchratri Vidhi he can be part of the community. He can feel loved, what you're talking about. So Hari Bhakti Vilas is written for that purpose. And when he becomes clear that my goal of life is to love Krishna uncontaminated, uninterrupted, so then Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu comes into play. It's like how you cultivate relationship, and now you have become committed to Krishna, how you surrender to Krishna with loving sentiment, pure loving sentiment. But not everybody can come to path of pure bhakti instantly. So the Sanatana Goswami book, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him in Varanasi for 2 months to write this book, people outright rejecting this literature. Or in a very, very subtle way, misquoting Srila Prabhupada, misunderstanding. They have created so many confusions about Dharma Shastra, telling that no, they are for Karma Kanda. If one is just applying Dharma Shastra, then it's just Punya life, like the background I came from my childhood. However, it must be applied in connection to Hari Bhakti Vilas, in connection to devotion service. Then it becomes transcendental. I hope I'm not going too technical.
No, it's fine. I really like listening to what you're saying, and it's really useful that you're very thorough and you're explaining things very clearly, which I find useful, and I know a lot of our viewers and listeners will find useful as well. Um, are you able to tell us a bit about some of your publications? I know that you sent me some publications for today's podcast. Tell us a bit, tell us about some of the books and the publications of your organization, and what are they about?
Very good. Thank you, Prabhu. We'll be launching all of our literature on the website. Currently, our website work is in process. However, we are producing literature at three, four different levels.
Mm.
One is the entire scripture, verse by verse, in chronological order. Just
Wow.
like guys. So we have entire Manu Samhita, different types of Dharma Shastras with Sanskrit shloka, with transliteration, synonym, translation, and purport. Within purport also there are authorized commentaries of many great acharyas. So these literatures are ongoing. We have several booklets from various Puranas and Mahabharata and various sections of Ramayana, different sorts of booklets on different themes. Major category, I would say we have in community identified about 30 different departments or sections. So there are literature, I would send you the list of all of that.
Mm. Mm.
Like husband-wife relationship. So there are core shastra chronologically. We have Dharma Shastra, many of them, Niti Shastra, different types of Niti Shastra. Then Artha Shastra, there are few of Artha Shastra, these all commentaries are given. Then there are Kama Shastra. Then there are many of the Acharya's work. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, for example, we have produced in original format verse by verse. Prabhupada has given summary study because he didn't have time after 67. He wanted to produce teachings about Chaitanya and all in a fast forward way. Same way Nectar of Devotion. So we have Nectar of Devotion with verses, entire book, where Prabhupada section we have put as a Prabhupada commentary. We are working, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur wanted Jiva Goswami commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary. We are working on that too for Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We are working on entire Hari Bhakti Vilas because within the community we are producing literature for what is required for the devotees. There are innumerable details of various situations in Bhakti. Within Hari Bhakti Vilas, there are 8,000 verses, more than that. So different sections, different vilasas of that we are producing. Hari Bhakti Vilas, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We will have different sections of Bhagavatam also explained in a way that Srila Prabhupada wrote from one perspective, which is perfect, but it needs more clarity, different places. So with cultural context, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, same way we have different sections for devotees produce different articles on Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, based on what is needed in the community, and different lessons for cultural application and bhakti application. So we are working on different Upanishads. Like I talked about Kali Santarana Upanishad, we have produced that. We have worked on Taittiriya Upanishad, which is the book of educational system. And then, so it is produced in chronological order and thematic way, as the large volume literature, as well as small booklets, as well as few pages article as well. So booklets, books, articles, published both chronologically and thematically. We are also parallelly working on Ayurveda, different section of Ayurveda. For example, one of the thing in the community is mothers and how to the whole focus my superior told me is to a future generation, bright future generation. Because current generation, whatever you preach, there will be a limit to which they can actually become purity in their practice. So our focus is to have a better next generation. So for that, there are different sections of Ayurveda called Sharira Sthana. There are different Ayurveda, Charak Samhita, Bhagavad Samhita. So there are 4 or 5 big literature in which there is Sharira Sthanam, the entire mechanism of uh, pregnancy, then the care of the child, delivery, post delivery. Then, of course, there is entire uh, for students Shastra, because Ayurveda talks about different facets, the regulation of life. When Hari Bhakti Vilas talks about what do you do morning till night, the morning duties, afternoon duties, the evening duties. So practical implementation of health eatables, do's and don'ts, which was there in our culture. So we don't need much of the westernized system of care of our eating habits, our lifestyle. So in the villages in India, there are midwives. So we are training midwives how to be better midwife and how to guide the couples maturely. Same way, we have the entire curriculum developing for the training of the girls. We recently did Kanya Puja, the worship of all the girls of the entire village. So age 3 to 18, all the girls were worshipped according to Vedic culture. And now within the village, we have kind of 12 different sections of the village.
Mm, mm.
So each of the couple will be training the girls under their locality, within their surrounding. So we have the whole curriculum of training the girls, age 3 to 18. So Balika Prasikshan, that is one department. Then training of youths, boys. Then training of the children in Garbha, in pregnancy stage, Garbha Vigyan. So husband-wife relationship, Dampatya Vibhag. Then as a family, how do you operate in different relationship? Then Parivarangan, how you implement devotional service at what stage? How so there are literatures from Hari Bhakti Vilas, practical festivities, Acharya's appearance day, disappearance days. So so all that literature we are gradually implementing it and bringing it in English and various local Indian languages. Kind
This is
of.
amazing. It's amazing. It's so impressive.
So it's continuously in development, Prabhu, and we have the content developed for courses as well. I told you Vedic library
Yeah.
courses. So same contents are also present in a thematic way and then presented. So we'll have more and more teachers online courses. We have different websites which will be functional within one or two few months. So where all these things anybody can find actually.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your website. It sounds like it's going to be amazing with all of these
We have
resources
website
available.
already, shrigaurangasamaj.com, vedicskills.com, vedicskills.graphy.com. However, they are in very testing phase actually. So if you just give us some time, like
Yeah.
2 3 months, it will be functional. As
Okay.
I told, our objective is to create this literature available, and our mindset is we want to have education as a matter of charity, not for earning. In our entire system of preaching in the villages, so many houses have full volumes of Prabhupada Bhagavatam as a gift. Whole village, every home has Srila Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita as a gift.
Wow.
Every home, every home in the village has received Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana with verses. Every home has received gift. So they come together with their families and read Prabhupada books and this Ramayana, chant Hare Krishna Kirtan with their families. Every evening, so many families come together. This
I
is
just love how
Chaitanya.
you're building communities organically and naturally from the bottom up.
So this will be also explained in the website when we explain about Vedic community. It's all
Yeah.
based on Mahaprabhu's instruction. Nothing is manipulated or presented as our own speculation or our own ideas. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. As it should be or as it is. No
Yes.
no hidden agenda, no spin. You're presenting Vedic literature as it is.
So education is should be made free because in Vedic culture, your justice, your healthcare system, and your education, they were three of these fields are totally free.
Mm, mm,
Because
mm.
as soon as money is involved for earning, then you are no more a Brahmana. You
Mm.
become businessman. School today operating, they're all working on money. So, so it's like business setup actually it becomes. However, somebody wants to offer some charity. Of course, sometime in people in cities, they may, but we can have householders who can transmit this knowledge and charge some people because householders, if they have to educate, They have to run their family as well. So even an educator in emergency, he can earn in emergency. So we also want that householders, they have to go and work in cities far from their home. They can have localized education from their home, and they can educate the whole world,
mm,
practical details about the any aspect of life online, and they could earn also. So personally, I am not for any earning, but I would want householders to earn through Vedic education by
mm.
because by
Yeah.
which they can actually practice bhakti locally.
Mm, mm.
So we want to develop such system step by step. Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm feeling incredibly inspired by what you're doing. And it
And this is
sounds,
it's unfolding step by step.
yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing the website when it's complete. And yeah, I'm looking forward to finding in the future, finding out more about how the foundation develops and grows and supports people. Because we want to support people and encourage people to discover Krishna consciousness, develop their Krishna consciousness. You know, so it's wonderful what you're doing. You're very inspiring.
Kindly bless us. We actually never thought to develop such curriculum. Just a minute, Prabhu, my phone is ringing.
Yeah, it's okay. You're a busy man. If you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. That's a saying in England. If you want
So
something done, ask a busy person to do it.
no, no. So, my focus has been, Prabhu, whatever is required for a devotee's guidance. I went back to Shastra because Srila Prabhupada talks in Bhagavatam many places
Mm,
that our Shastra has everything.
mm,
So it's like Chataka bird, we don't want to look for solutions anywhere other than Vedic literature.
mm,
When our Vedic literature is everything, why should we go towards academicians and psychologists? Our Shastra has everything. So whenever I was faced with situation to serve a devotee, I turned back to Shastra. And with the understanding that all the Shastras are meant to conclude in devotional service. Vedescha sarve aham eva vedyo. So the idea has been whatever a particular devotee situation came to us, we try to serve them based on guidance of Vedic Shastra. And then they could be sure that whatever we are repeating is from Shastra. Even if they disagree with me, doesn't matter. They have understood the core principle and they will be able to repeat to others
mm, mm,
transparently. I don't want me to be focused. As Srila Prabhupada told to one of the devotee that I could be wrong, but Shastra cannot be wrong. So people can have disagreement with me. Absolutely. I'm a person conditioned with defects. Shastra cannot be faulty. And
mm,
Shastra could be corroborated. So that's how, with a little humble thought, step by step, these things. I told you many things, but some of things are developing, some things are developed. It's just how the service to devotees are unfolding. We are creating literature. We have the whole setup of literature with me, but I focus to bring out the literature, what is required for even one person.
mm.
So
You
that's
know,
that's my
thank you. The reason why I've been looking down so much is I've been making lots of notes on my phone and on paper because I want to. I'm just genuinely very inspired by what you're saying. So I'm taking lots of notes down because this is something. The information you're providing and the way that you're doing it, I know so many devotees will find this useful. You know, the development of communities from a natural, organic, authentic level. So I think it's great. Before we finish, though, we've been recording for almost 90 minutes already. And I knew today's conversation would be a great one. I've got two more questions for you, though. You've kind of already answered this next one in a roundabout way, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. What are your thoughts on the future of the Hare Krishna movement? What are your thoughts on the future of the Hare Krishna movement?
that's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that in this age of Kali Yuga, on the horizon of Bengal, the sun and moon has simultaneously manifested in terms. through the mercy of Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda to deliver this mercy to the entire humanity, for the entire humanity. So the future of Hare Krishna, that is that it is the only future. As Srila Prabhupada told, that the day will come where this Hare Krishna movement will be understood, having saved the whole world. This is not only my conviction, but practical reality that I am experiencing. So, actual Krishna conscious movement will be accepted in all nook and corner of the world, and that is the only solution. So for that, this literature will be foundation. Something I would be able to see in my lifetime, something future generations will see.
I was just thinking about that as you were talking about every nook and cranny of the world, everywhere will hear the holy names, be able to chant the holy names. And I'm thinking about the town that I'm from and thinking, well, it might not be soon, but it's in the future, and it may not be in my lifetime. Unfortunately, being selfish, but yeah, I have faith in that as well. That every town and village will chant the holy names and hear the holy names and be absorbed in Krishna consciousness.
I have my part to do.
Yeah.
That's what Krishna wants from me. And it's already manifesting, what I can see already manifesting. Especially in the villages, it's very easy to see all these things functioning. What Prabhupada talks in Bhagavatam purports and what is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially in Bengal also, and even villages in different states, people are earning locally. So we have to help people actually earn locally. Wherever people are going far for earning, that's where the complexity become. So we have to create a situation where people can earn locally.
Yeah.
And so, but world situation is also changing very, very fast. The whole world is moving towards the curbing of wrong powers, and gradually it is moving. Like our Prime Minister Modi, we are not for this party or that party or politicians. However, he mentioned that within 10 years, we want to uproot what Thomas Macaulay implemented in Indian education system. The British education system is prevalent in Indian education. There are no gurukulas. There is no local community, because Thomas Macaulay, he wanted a class of Indian who would be externally Indian but internally British. So the Prime Minister Modi mentioned that we want to uproot this Macaulay system of education, which is all over Indian education system. And India would be leading. This is again Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction. Bharat bhumite manushya hoile janma jar, janma sarth kori kor poropukar. That's the duty of Indians, actually, that they perfect their life and they spread Krishna consciousness worldwide. And how it's going to spread? When the devotees from worldwide, they are gathering to Mayapur or Vrindavan or different places in India, they are sometimes residing here for whole life. As they get to understand the culture, Vedic culture and community setup, step by step, it is already happening. They will go back to their own place. Mahaprabhu told to Kurma Brahmana, Jara Dekha Taraka Krishna Badesh, Amar Agya Guru Ya Tara Ei Desh. Ei Desh means you deliver your land. So people in India have come from many, many places. And if they get to understand and learn the Vedic culture and how community things work and how it is very scientific system. I have different families and different friends in both in Vrindavan and Mayapur who are not Indian. Some are females married to Indian devotees also. So they are understanding those things, though their children will have better understanding of Vedic culture and Krishna consciousness. So it will go very smoothly. And when these Western devotees are, from our Indian context, they will travel back to their countries. It will go back to the roots, the Vedic culture, Krishna consciousness in its natural form. And Prabhupada envisioned that.
Okay. I just had a big smile appear on my face as you said that then, and you were smiling at the same time. And it's so kind of magnetic the way you're explaining it. It's a very um it's something that we're all working towards in our own ways, isn't it?
Yes, 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 yes. No, it is already, Prabhupada came from India to give the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. That is already being implemented worldwide. As you are doing in France, in
Yeah.
London,
Yeah.
Scotland, that's already happening. The books, Prabhupada had an objective. Prabhupada was sent to give all this literature in different languages. So the culture, it's not that one has to come to India necessarily. That is also not necessary. Because the books, the culture of India has
Mm,
gone in form of
mm,
books
mm.
to the world in different languages. Because culture in India also has degraded, very much westernized. So the books contains the culture. The culture of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavad, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, different Puranas. And what I know is people in Russia and people in Germany, in particular, I know about this too, they have high regard for Vedic literature. Srila Prabhupada went to America. What I have heard is that people in West, they had no taste much other than black pepper and black salt. That's what I've heard. But now, after Srila Prabhupada went, so many varieties of vegetables are there. Vedic cuisines, Indian food, Indian clothing. People have developed respect for Shastra. And Hare Krishna chanting in streets is such an attractive, it just captivates the heart of anybody because as Srila Prabhupada talks, it touches the core of the person, the Atma.
Mm.
So, yes, Prabhu. So, I am not within all negativity situation. I am not at all pessimistic. With any situation in life, I am thoroughly not only optimistic but realistic.
Mm, mm.
We have the vision, but we are dealing with practical situation every day of every individual, trying our best to serve.
And finally, for this conversation today, I know you and I will be talking a lot more in the future, but finally, for this conversation today, I always like to save this question till last. Visvambhar Krishna Prabhu, if you were given 5 minutes on prime time TV, if you were given 5 minutes on every TV station and radio station in the world at the same time, what would you say?
Mhm. Srila Prabhupada spoke in Mayapur once that I want 10 million trained up people to deliver the entire humanity. Not just bureaucratically manipulated 40 and 50 people who are only acclaimed as gurus or whatever. Srila Prabhupada said in that lecture, I want 10 million localized guides and gurus. And gurus means not put up in the institution. Gurus means Srila Prabhupada explains in 11.54 Bhagavad Gita. The people who are personally training the individuals. So the system of education, Vedic system of education will spread through Srila Prabhupada mercy, the vision that Srila Prabhupada has given, based on desires of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to every nook and corner of the world, which is in my childhood when I was 10-year-old. I was shaken up when I read in my school textbook the verse from Maha Upanishad. Ayam nija paro veti ganana lagu chetasam udar charita namte vasudeva kutumbakam. That those who are broad-minded, they are not after I and mine, or this is mine and that is for another. Those people who have broad intelligence, for them, entire earth is their home. So I read that when I was 10-year-old. And that's what I received by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. And I would dedicate my life to make it happen with whatever little capacity that I may have. So I have full faith that everybody is child of God, no matter externally which religion, which caste, nationality one may be. But God is ultimately the one who loves all his children. And he wants all his children to turn to him and love him. And thus, everybody can be happy.
Jai.
There will be opposition, as the nature of the world is. Because where there is divine, there will be demoniac.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to focus on divine. As the sun shines, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakar, Jahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna consciousness is like bright illuminating sun. The demoniac forces are deep, deep dark ignorance, like mosquitoes, like snake, like spider, like cockroach. It's all ignorance. But as soon as the light comes, all ignorance and ignorant people goes away. And the message is that Bharata, Indian, not Indian, the Indian education system, the Vedic education will come to fulfill, because the system, this culture was actually spread all over the world. Our great kings, they were ruling about the entire earth. This Vedic education will spread worldwide and people will accept it in time to come.
Fantastic. Thank you, Visvambhar Krpa Prabhu. It's been a fascinating conversation today. Believe it or not, we've been recording for almost 2 hours, I think. No, almost 2 hours. Which is great. It's been a thorough conversation, and I've really appreciated finding out more about your seva, finding out more about the Vaishvika Gauranga Samaja Foundation, and I love that name. And I'm looking forward to finding out more about how we can work together more in the future,
Yes, please.
and how what you're doing might fit in very nicely with the League of Devotees, and it sounds like we're all trying to achieve the same thing, which is great. What I'm going to do, your website, is it not ready at all, or is there a website?
Yes, we have purchased the domain, but it's not, it's functional kind of thing. We had some old articles, but it's, I'm telling you, shrigorangasamaj.com, vedicskills.com, vedicskills.graphic.com.
Okay.
But there is nothing much up there at present. So if you wait for 2-3 months,
Yeah.
in few months' time, the courses will start to come on vedicskills.graphic.com. And even we have LMS platform. This is learning management system, where there are course curriculum, there are teachers, instructors, curriculum, classes, online webinar, live webinar, recorded classes, YouTube link, etc. Everything will be there in that. So step by step, many instructors or teachers can be appointed on that platform.
And
So it will be functional within a month's time.
mm, mm.
Some courses will start to come.
What I can do with this podcast, I can put some links if you want me to, some
Yeah, yeah.
links to you can, but so yeah, after we've stopped recording, you can send me those, and I can make sure, because I want people to be able to contact you and connect with you. So I'll make sure there's links available.
I have my email ID as well as phone number.
Yeah,
Uh, Anybody,
great,
because
great.
as we are developing some of the content, I can send in personal basis what they need and require.
Yeah, yeah.
And gradually we are making our curriculum certified in the sense that it is authorized. It's a legal way. So far, so all this content we have been developing just for the practical need of the individuals. But gradually we'll be making, formulating in a very standardized way so that there are no legalities, complications.
You're doing it by the book. By the book. It's an expression. It means following the proper procedures.
No, no, we are gradually
Good.
will be doing that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we have to be transparent when we want to approach to serve.
Mm.
Individuals, we have been doing kind of unofficial way.
Thank you. Okay, Visvambhar Krpa Prabhu. Stay there. Stay in the Zoom room. Um, we'll have a brief chat after, but
Yes,
I'm
sir.
incredibly grateful to you for being our guest on the Hare Krishna Project
I'm
podcast this
thankful to
week.
you for hosting me.
No worries at all. It's been great to hear your story. It's been great to hear about the project that you're leading, you're facilitating, you're running. Um, and I hope it grows and expands and develops. Um, and yeah, I'm actually quite excited. I feel like let's do an interview in a year's time and see how it's going. You know, how is it developing? Um, so, to all of our viewers and listeners at home or wherever you watch these podcasts, thank you for tuning in to episode 199, which means the next episode you watch will be the 200th episode, which is quite exciting. And that will be broadcast next week before the Christmas holidays. Okay, do not forget if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook, do the same as well, like or follow. Whenever I say those things, the number of subscribers, followers, and likers does go up, which means that you're listening to what I say, which is great, which is wonderful. And as always, we love to receive constructive feedback. Believe it or not, you're allowed to have your own opinion. Both Visvambhar Krpa and I are both living in democracies, which means which means you can have your own view. So
Yes,
if
yes.
you have any constructive feedback, please do send it in.
And also
Okay,
if they have queries, we are open
queries.
to, yes.
I will with this podcast, I'll put Veshwambhar Prabhu's details so you can send him all the questions you want.
Yeah, yeah,
Keep
we'll
him
try
really
to
busy
serve
with
them.
questions. And I
Yes.
have to say, you are very communicative. You're very good at responding. We've been WhatsApping each other, and you're instant with the responses. And it's been great. It's been wonderful because sometimes you have to chase people, and I haven't had to chase you at all, so it's been good. Uh,
Um,
okay, everyone. So until next week, I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, bro.